All right, we're live. I'd like to begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Call this meeting of the Elkins Common Council to order. I'll be acting as chair in the absence of the mayor. Start by calling roll. Councilor Bross Friganera, absent. Councilor Carroll.
Here.
Councilor Chenoweth. Here. Councilor Hinchman. Here. Councilor Kearns.
Here.
Councilor Lowther is absent. Councilor Parker.
Here.
Councilor Pliszka. Councilor Bross Friganera is present. Councilor Severino is absent. And Councilor Thompson.
Here.
And as I mentioned, the mayor is absent. So with 7 present, we have a quorum, or 8 present, we have a quorum. Is there anyone here for public comment? It appears no one is here for public comment. So next item on the agenda, the proposed minutes for the meeting of April 16th, 2024. Is there a motion? Moved. Approval of the minutes of the meeting of April 16th. Any comments or discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Under correspondence, notifications, and recognitions, you have your report in your packets from the code enforcement officer with building permits and vacant property registrations. Can review those. And next we have councilor reports. Councilor Parker.
No report, sir.
Councilor Bross Friganera.
I'll report for the tree board. We had a wonderful Arbor Day, and I thank Mike for sitting in and helping plant the tree. All the downtown trees are in, all the ones at Glendale are in. I'm sad to report that there was some extensive damage done to the ginkgo on 3rd Street, which is, it was about $800 of a tree. Somebody took a knife to it and peeled a bunch of the bark. So we're hoping that, thanks Joey Riddle of Joey's Bike Shop, he's helping to water it. That's really the only thing that we can hope that will save it. Other than that, we are meeting and still working on grants and things along those lines. And municipal properties will meet not this Monday, but the next. And we haven't figured out our agenda yet. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Pliszka.
No report.
Councilor Hinchman.
No report.
Councilor Chenoweth.
No report other than to say that personnel committee will meet this coming Monday at 1 o'clock.
And is your mic on? Oh. I don't know if you want to repeat that for the folks at home.
No report other than to say that personnel committee will meet on Monday at 1 o'clock. Thanks.
Thank you. Councilor Kearns.
No report. Thanks.
And Councilor Severino has joined the meeting.
I apologize for my tardiness.
Any report?
I don't have a report, but Rules and Ordinance meets Monday at 3:30.
Correct. Councilor Carroll.
Some language has come from Planning Commission for the meeting today about definitions for museum zones and some other kind of event convention center zones. So that is on the agenda today.
Thank you. And finally, Councilor Thompson.
No report.
No report. Moving on to staff reports. Chief Travis Bennett.
Good evening. I'm not going to give you statistics tonight. We have a little bit of a software glitch between our department and the 911 center. Actually, that's countywide, so any numbers I would give you would be inaccurate right now, so we'll just leave that until the next meeting. Officer Caleb Elmore will graduate from the academy on June 7th, so that's coming up rapidly. It seems like his time down there is going really fast. So we'll go down for that, and then he'll come back and immediately go into field training for 3 months, and then we'll have a certified officer. Backgrounds are ongoing for the other 6 candidates right now, and the public safety camera system, I received the contracts from the company yesterday and have forwarded those to the city attorney for review, so hopefully your next meeting, those will be before you. Other than that, unless anybody has any questions, I don't have anything else.
I had a question. Someone contacted me and was concerned that with the huge crowd, thankfully, we had for the Ramp Festival, has anybody ever asked that Railroad Avenue be closed during major events like that? Or
I mean, that would require an event request that would come through the mayor's office and be approved by all the admin officers. I've never
Okay.
seen one that closed the road.
Pardon me?
I've never seen any requests to close
Okay.
the street.
But is that feasible if they were to make the request?
Sure, I mean, I can speak from my end, but I can't
Okay.
speak for the other admin officers on that. But yeah, for us, it would be reasonable.
Okay, all right, because she was just, there were a lot of people down there on that day, and then I know on the 4th of July, it gets a little crazy as well. So the onus is on the person making the requests. Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Mike, is that a state road?
No.
I don't think so.
Don't, okay, that's.
So we could do that internally.
Oh, thanks, Chief. Operations Manager Mike Kessiker.
Good evening. Have a brief report this evening. First of all, I'd like to start out by, hopefully when you walked in the building, you noticed that the hallway here is much brighter, and council chambers, I know with, this time of year, it's not noticeable, but we're installing new lighting throughout City Hall, trying to brighten the place up a little bit, make it a little more productive for workers. I think it lightens our spirits a little bit when it's not so dark and gloomy. So if you see Brad and Lisa coming around with a ladder, if they need you to temporarily move, just please accommodate them so we can get these lights taken care of. All the tree grates are installed except for 2 trees that we have root issues. So, in talking with the tree board, we're just going to mulch around them to prevent any type of tripping hazards. Therefore, I think we're ready to move on from that project. And 2 things that I want to bring to everyone's attention about 2 departments in operations that oftentimes they don't get a whole lot of credit. Our sanitation department in the month of April hauled 484 tons of trash in the month of April. That does not include special pickups, roll-offs, and the grappling truck. That's a lot of waste and a lot of work that those gentlemen take a lot of pride in doing. They come in here early, they get started before anybody else is here, and doesn't matter what the weather is, they get it done. So just think of that, 484.41 tons in the month of April. And it comes with a large price tag too. Street department, I want to give a shout out to them while I can. They were working with patching some potholes and doing some grading, and they actually used 33.85 tons of blacktop this week patching potholes throughout the city. So the street department's really been getting after it and doing a great job there. So I want to commend sanitation and streets for everything they've done. They've done a tremendous job. Quickly on the code enforcement side, we have billed for 36 vacant structures. And since the last council meeting, 19 building permits have been issued for estimated work of over $275,000. The only other thing I'd like to add, not to steal the chief's thunder, because I know he's got a big announcement and something everybody wants to see, but On your way, we have a car that we just received delivery of today that we can probably put in one of his compartments. But the new City Hall pool vehicle is here. It's a Nissan Versa. Gets about 45 miles to the gallon, and we're glad to have it on site finally, and it'll be used throughout all the departments here at City Hall. So we're excited about that, and that's all I have to report unless anyone has any questions.
I have a couple questions. So you reported that it was the sanitation in April was 484 tons.
Yes.
So the immediate thought that popped in my head, that sounds like a lot. And we all know with the closing of the recycling center in Elkins and everything, has that figure increased over the last year or so since this recycling in Elkins has been?
I would have to go back and look at those numbers and to compare. I don't know that off the top of my head, but I could definitely go back and look at those numbers and compare April of 2023 to April of this year and I could email you that.
And I can't
It's-
remember exactly when that occurred, but,
But I could definitely get you those numbers.
okay, like, yeah, I'd be interested to see
I
a
asked our
comparison.
supervisor if this seemed like a large amount, and he said that's pretty average for what they do. It wasn't like an unusual month. I was just trying to get some numbers off
Yeah.
of him to see what we're hauling.
I
and-
would be interested to see
Yeah.
kind of how that,
Absolutely.
if it affected or if it hasn't affected. I'd just be interested.
Can definitely provide you with that.
Yeah. The other question I have was you mentioned like the potholes and patching. I've been contacted recently about some. What would be an appropriate way for the residents of Elkins to kind of alert the street department that they have a pothole or they have some issues with their
Just
street?
call the operations department.
I'll just call the operations.
Just call upstairs to the operations division. Shanna, Melody, or myself will get a hold of the supervisor, and he'll go out and take a look at it and
Okay.
act on it. Yeah,
Okay.
the best way to get the job done is to just call City Hall, get patched through the operations division, and it'll get taken care of. Oftentimes, if the call doesn't make it up to our office, there's a breakdown in communication, and it takes 2 or 3 phone calls to make it happen, where if they ask to speak to someone in operations, we'll get it to the right department right away.
Okay, awesome, thank you.
I had just a quick question. Where the tree grates were installed, some have orange cones. I think, are there plans to fix those sidewalks?
There's some sidewalk work that's going to have to be done because some of them are still tripping hazards. So we're trying to figure out the most cost-effective way because it is, it's expensive to get in there and cut those sidewalks out. So we're leaving the cones in place until we have a more definitive plan as to how to attack those. Any other questions? Thank you.
Thanks, Mike. City Treasurer Tracy Judy.
Good evening. In your treasurer's report, I put from our insurance company, from West Virginia Corps, the current proposal for this upcoming year. We did not put it out for bid. This is just year 2 for West Virginia Corps. I can tell you the renewal came in $589 less than the current premium, so I'm tickled for that. Normally, we've seen increases of 3 to 5% each year. In early April, a property evaluator from West Virginia Corps looked at 39 city properties to make sure everything was valued correctly. And I believe looking at that premium, we were very close. Anybody have any questions regarding that?
Hey, Tracy, so this is the second year we've had this
Yes,
insurance?
it's a self-insured.
What did the city do before that?
We, usually every 2 or 3 years, we put it out for bid. We were with Assured Partners out of Charleston, had been with them probably approximately 4 different bid cycles. And they actually brought in West Virginia Corps to also provide a bid, and they won the bid pretty significantly. I will phrase it that way, yeah. Also reported the annual ARPA information or expenditures on April the 18th to the U.S. Treasury. We are down to approximately $513,000 yet to spend that's already been obligated. And we received our municipal sales tax deposit last week, and you'll see that on your treasurer's report next week. This deposit came in at $405,179.58, giving us a total for this fiscal year of $1,503,742.08. And that is an increase from last year of $36,862.97. And back as far as our first full year of fiscal year 2020, it's an increase of $353,249.89. And that's really all I have, unless anybody has any questions. Yes,
do.
ma'am.
I'm sorry. So the West Virginia Corps insurance, that covers all city-owned properties? Is
Yes,
that-
it does. Yes.
Okay. And I assume Cump House is still under that policy?
It is. Yes,
Okay.
ma'am, it is.
And then, and I see it also includes, so does that include liability for?
Yes.
Okay.
The
All
only,
right.
the only thing that's not covered under this is workers' comp.
Great. Okay, great, thank you.
Yes, yes, sir.
Tracy, if I may, do you feel like the limits of coverage are adequate for our needs?
I do. We can always look at increasing those. I know you had, at one time, had a question about cybersecurity. We could increase that. That would be, I believe some of the quotes are $4,000 to $6,000 additional to raise that, but I believe we have $1 million policy right now included in this. Anybody else? Or any other questions, Dave? Okay.
Thank you, Tracy. And Fire Chief Steve Himes.
Good evening. April's call volumes was, we had 63 calls in April. That brings our year-to-date up to 271, so we're about 63 calls ahead of last year. Taking you back a little bit in time, June 17th, 2021, this council approved Resolution 1416 for the purchase of a new fire engine. I'm ecstatic to report that at 1:37 this afternoon, that fire engine pulled into the building. And in about, guys showed up, some as soon as they got off work, some that were already off. And in about 2 hours, what equipment was on the floor is no longer on the floor. It is on the rig, and the guys are dying to take it, and I told them they couldn't put it in service till after the meeting tonight, so. So in about 10 minutes, it's gonna be down there. I'm hoping, the salesman delivered it. He is the 5th generation of the Sutphin family that owns the company, so I hope he comes. I don't know if he will, I haven't heard back from him yet, but, you will meet the guy I've talked so much about, and, name on his driver's license matches the one in the grill, so it's kind of neat. But, yeah, so it'll be here. You can now see it with your hands instead of pictures. It was pretty happy. I was pretty happy. That's about it. We'll keep this rolling, so we can go down there while there's still some daylight. Anybody got any questions? Nancy, you sure? I feel left out. Okay.
Thank you, Chief. Oh, my report. City Clerk's report. Update from Melissa, your HR director. Now that pretty much every employee has made their PEIA selections, we did have a few new employees jump onto the plan who weren't taking city insurance before. If you'll recall, there was some concern that if enough did that, that might eat up the savings we were anticipating. But it looks like it happened to kind of a moderate extent. So we're still, stepping into FY25, I think in much better shape with health insurance costs than we would have been. I have a bunch of numbers here that I know people can't probably absorb. Maybe we'll throw them in a memo. But the bottom line is that we're still looking at, for FY25, the PEIA costs will be slightly less than the costs in this year. And if we'd implemented no changes, we'd be looking at something like $140,000 more a year than we will be looking at. So it does continue to look like Plan C has been a good move for the city, and a lot of employees got a chance to really examine that, and I think, I don't know if we had universal switching to that, but a lot of people saw the benefits and moved to that, and I think that's good news. So, related, we're working on a long-anticipated update to the personnel policy. As Councilor Chenoweth mentioned on Monday, we're going to brief the Personnel Committee about some of the smaller legally required, best practice required clarifications and tweaks that we're recommending first to the manual, with the goal of trying to get an updated version that's kind of up to what Melissa wants to see it as far as HR practices. Soon, hope to bring that before council in June. And then there are various ideas for substantive changes to various policies that have come up. We're going to handle those separately and talk about them one by one so they can get due deliberation in the committee. But that's just where we are with that. I wanted to just comment, I turned around a couple of Freedom of Information Act requests today. And I wanted to say the police department's body cam system just seems really effective and easy to use as a layperson. I relay the requests to Chief Bennett. I get links to the files in question, which he's able to produce very quickly, I mean, often within the hour. They're exactly what we're looking for. It's a little bit, there's some steps involved for the person who gets it to download it and look at it, but it just seems like a great system, so I just wanted to throw that out there. I know that kind of thing just tends to operate in the background, but I'm appreciating having it. And then finally, I've been working with our Region 7 GIS consultant, and we're close to having the city's address data online and searchable. I don't know if you all know, there's various GIS apps that you can access through our website. They're hosted on the ArcGIS cloud site that we have. You can look up your zone, you can look up your zoning district, you can look up what ward you're in, some other ones. So addresses will be up there soon too, and that's going to help coordinate even better with Randolph County. And then it's a place where property owners and real estate agents and others can look things up. So that's all I've got for now. Anyone have any questions for me? All right, moving on. Next item on the agenda is approval of vendor invoice payments. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Any questions? And these are the vendor invoices for April 15th through 26th. Any questions or discussions about any invoices? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. New business, Ordinance 328. An ordinance of the City of Elkins, West Virginia to vacate, abandon, and close a portion of that certain public right-of-way known as Coke Alley of the Valley Improvement Company, South Elkins Addition, between 10th Street and 11th Street, first of two readings. Is there a motion?
So moved. Sorry.
And are there any questions or discussion?
Explanation on that ordinance?
City Attorney Roberts.
So I believe all of this started about a year ago when the local managers at the Coca-Cola site here approached the city about closing this one section of Coke Alley. It's the first part of the alley that comes right onto 11th Street. And they were looking at it for safety reasons because if you think about where their property is and how they go back and forth, the concern is for the safety of their employees and also the security of their equipment and their business location there. It took a while till we got to a place where it got considered by the Municipal Properties Committee. I think it was scheduled, and then we had a snowstorm, and so it got bumped to January. Long story short, we've gotten through it. Mr. Mallow has done the work, Leon Mallow, and what is attached to the ordinance is a draft, Once the ordinance is passed at the second reading, he will complete that plat and have the right ordinance number on it. And just as all of the situations where there's been a closure of a public roadway, the ordinance authorizes the mayor to sign a quitclaim deed conveying that piece of property to whomever the petitioner was. It's a little different who the deed's going to go to because they actually have a subsidiary of Coca-Cola that actually holds their property title. So if council decides to pass it tonight and then at the second reading, I have a deed prepared, and this has all been reviewed by an attorney on behalf of Coca-Cola. We've been back and forth about it, and so I think that's it, unless you have a question. They're going to put a gate up there so that it's going to let them go back and forth and whatever.
Like an automatic gate?
I don't know the details of what the gate will be. They'll have the access to it. Both of our chiefs, our fire chief and our police chief, have looked at it. They're comfortable about what they're going to do about safety and security, and it is right at the edge of their property, and where this closure is showing on the alley.
And according to the map, are you done? I'm sorry, I didn't interrupt you. Are you done?
No, that's fine.
Councilman? Okay. I was looking on the map. It's just the green shaded area.
That is correct.
Okay.
Just that green shaded area that empties out onto 11th Street.
And so essentially, by doing this, we, as a city, we are turning over that property to the Coca-Cola company, well, the subsidiary that holds the property for
Correct.
Coca-Cola.
Correct.
So we're just giving it to them? Like there's no
There is
monetary
no
compensation?
compensation, no. They have paid for the surveying and the lead up to it, and I cannot remember, Sutton, is there a fee? There is a fee that comes with when you ask for a,
Yeah, they have to,
they have to submit that in the beginning, and I assume
Yeah.
all that was done last year
yeah,
sometime.
they did.
Okay, is there any, I don't even know if there's a mechanism, was there any mechanism for like financial?
There is, if the Municipal Properties Committee had recommended that there needs to be a compensation for it, that is a choice. You can ask for it or not. That's within their discretion.
Okay, thank you, Jerry.
You're welcome.
All is good with sanitation?
Yes, sanitation went out as well, and we have access to it. They're going to provide us access to the gate, so there'll be no issues with sanitation either.
And I forgot to mention, I'm sorry, Mike, I should have mentioned that you were involved in that too. There's also a reservation for any water and sewer lines that the city has or could need in the future in that stretch of the alley. I believe there are some there now, and if there's a need to upgrade them or replace them or whatever, the city will always have access to do that. I forgot to mention, I do believe the representatives indicated there was some vandalism or some concerns, not just about the safety of their employees, but perhaps safety of equipment and some other things. If you've been past there, it's a pretty active place lots of times, so that's where we are with it.
I was just going to say, I think this makes a lot of sense. It seems really thoughtfully done, and if it helps them operate their business better, sounds like a great idea.
Well, I think it's the sort of thing that council, I believe, wants to help in any way they can with businesses that are already located here, that contribute to the community, or with the idea that, you know, if there's a way that the city can work with this company or any other company to meet needs that they have with regard to their employees and the safety of their properties too. So I think we've spent a lot of time looking at it. I know there have been numerous meetings on the actual site looking at it, and then this is the culmination of all of that.
And I don't know if you haven't been down there recently, they've done some work to some property they own that's just north of one of the buildings on the street. What's the street is it Railroad?
Railroad.
Yeah. So on the side of the property that's bordered by Railroad, they've kind of reworked how their lot there lets trucks in, and you know, so they're putting a lot of resources into that property right now. And I guess this would let them finalize some of that.
One other aspect that was really nice was that all the residents were notified of these changes, and actually at municipal properties, they came with 2 ideas, and this was chosen to be the best one. And during the whole process, there was input from all of our administrative officers. So it was a good working situation where a problem was solved, and we appreciate that.
Any other questions or comments? The motion on the floor to approve
I
ordinance.
have one really fast.
Oh.
Just a semantic, really, but like, will there be one gate, or will it be access to both sides? Like access to 11th Street and also access to the other part of Coke Alley?
I
There's-
believe there were going to be gates on each end of it.
Okay.
Of some type. Now, I don't know if that was the final plan or what they intended to do, but there was discussion of that so that you couldn't turn off of 11th Street into it, because you certainly don't want that going on if you're trying to, and also on the other end of the green strip that's shown on this plat.
Okay, I was just kind of wondering. Thank you.
As far as I know, their intention is to essentially fence off, although possibly gates is the right term to use, both ends of the section, and it'll all just become one property so that they can operate forklifts back and forth through there and that kind of thing. So, is that correct? That we have representatives from the company?
Yes, it'll be 3 automated gates, it'll be 360 pretty much coverage, but you will allow access, whether it's garbage or any other vehicle trucks that come through.
I totally forgot these gentlemen were sitting here, but we do have Coca-Cola representatives, so we don't have to guess what their plans are. Any other questions or discussion? All right. Motion to approve ordinance 328 on the first of 2 readings. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Ordinance 329, an ordinance of the Common Council of Elkins, West Virginia, amending sections of City Code, Chapter 152, zoning, regarding use definitions, first of 2 readings. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Any questions or discussion? And basically, these are adding new use definitions. Use definitions are just things you can do with a piece of property in the city. And we realized that we did not have use definitions that would encompass plans for the conference and event center. And then separately, with talk of museums that might be interested in opening in town, we realized there was not a use definition for a museum. And so this ordinance will just simply add those definitions and assign them to a couple of the different districts. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Ordinance passes on the first of 2 readings. No one has any further announcements? We stand adjourned.